story. You know, we just heard yesterday in an interview with Fox News, the Saudi foreign minister saying this was all a terrible mistake. But let me tell you, Turkish officials here are convinced that the killing of Jamal Khashoggi was a premeditated murder. And they're now telling CNN that they even believe the Saudis went to the extent of sending a body double here to pose as Khashoggi, leaving the consulate in an attempt to cover up the killing. CNN has obtained exclusive surveillance footage. It is part of the government investigation, and it appears to show, Allison, just that. Take a look.
At first glance, this man could almost pass for Jamal Khashoggi, and that's the idea. These are the last known images of Khashoggi alive, moments before he entered the Saudi consulate. Take a look. Same clothes, same glasses and beard, similar age and physique, everything except the shoes. But a senior Turkish official tells CNN that the man on the left is a body double, one of 15 Saudi operatives sent to kill Khashoggi and then cover it up. His name is Mustafa al-Madani. Surveillance cameras capture him arriving at the consulate in a plaid shirt and jeans at 11:03 with an accomplice. 2 hours later, Khashoggi arrives. He was killed inside shortly afterwards.
Well, Khashoggi's fiancée waited in front of the consulate. We're told al-Madani came out through this back exit. Disturbingly, he appears to have been wearing the actual clothing of the murdered journalist. The intent, Turkish investigators say, was to perpetuate the lie that Jamal Khashoggi left the consulate unharmed.
The apparent double and his companion take a taxi to Sultanahmet Mosque. It's one of Istanbul's main tourist attractions and an easy place to get lost in a crowd. The men head to the bathroom. The accomplice carries a plastic bag. When they emerge, al-Madani is wearing his own clothes again.
And just like that, Jamal Khashoggi has disappeared forever, or so the Saudis would have had the world believe. Little did they know Turkish authorities would quickly uncover the cover-up.
From their next stop at a nearby restaurant, where al-Madani appears to have ditched his fake beard, to a dumpster, where the men finally dump the plastic bag. The senior official says investigators believe it likely contained Khashoggi's clothes. As they head back to their hotel, the pair appear visibly relaxed. Their mission is complete.
Of course, the question everyone is asking themselves is, if the Saudis went to so much trouble to set up this decoy, why didn't they release the footage at the very beginning? The answer, our Turkish official posits, may be that they understood quite quickly that Turkish authorities were already onto them and that nobody was going to buy that story. And just a couple of other updates for you guys, John and Allison. We know today there are more employees of the consulate being interviewed by the Turkish prosecutor's office. And we also expect to hear from Turkish President Erdogan tomorrow. Will be very interesting to hear what he has to say. John and Allison.
All right, Calissa Ward, remarkable reporting. Thank you very much. Stay with us. Want to bring in congressional reporter for the Washington Post, Karin Demersion, and CNN senior political analyst John Avalon. And let's just throw up on the screen so people can see the split screen here. They brought in a body double. One of the 15 people. They brought in a body double, and then it appears they dressed him in Khashoggi's clothes to fool the world. John, Saudi Arabia for 3 weeks has been trying to fool the world here. And now they're trying to have us believe a version of events where it was a fistfight all gone bad. This is just remarkable visual proof of the extent to which they went. And remember, up until very recently, the United States and the Trump administration was willing to parrot those statements.
That's exactly right. And look, I mean, the fact that this is so clearly premeditated, that they put out the body double, didn't change the shoes, didn't change the hair, but apparently had him wear Khashoggi's own clothing, speaks to the absurdity of the argument they put out on Friday. This was a fist fight gone wrong. You don't bring a bone saw to a fist fight, you don't bring 15 folks to a fist fight, and you don't have a body double ready and waiting to create an alternative version of events.
And Karin, you have reporting on this as well. It doesn't take 3 weeks to come up with an excuse that this was a fist fight gone wrong. I mean, it's just obviously, this is the smoking gun. We've been waiting for a smoking gun of the premeditation. I think bringing a body double and dressing them in the victim's clothing is possibly as good of a smoking gun as you're ever going to get.
I mean, it suggests that there certainly was, somebody was, if someone was on hand to be him, then yeah, that doesn't look very good for the explanation that this all just happened on the fly. And you're right. I mean, it's very implausible that this all happened in a fist fight, given that the Saudis had an alternate explanation that they've trotted out for the first few weeks of all the scrutiny over this. I mean, if it had just been, okay, we're investigating this, then maybe, okay, but that nobody really believes this version of events. Nobody's said that they do, at least, except for the president. And this is going to be additional evidence that the Saudi explanation is incredibly suspect and put the administration in a very tight spot to have to respond in some way, which pretty much everybody else in the political apparatus of the country wants the president to do.
And Clarissa Ward, once again, first of all, phenomenal reporting here. And the visual here just proves how laughable. It's beyond I keep using that word because it's so shocking. It's not laughable at all. It's shocking and offensive what the Saudis have tried to perpetrate on the world for the last few weeks. And again, you see it right there. That man on the right, dressed as Jamal Khashoggi, leaving the consulate after we now know Khashoggi was killed, and they knew that Khashoggi was killed at that point. Let me play you what the Saudi foreign minister is now saying, because we have yet another wave of the Saudis trying to spin this as something maybe not as damning as it so obviously is. Listen.
The individuals who did this outside the scope of their authority. There obviously was a tremendous mistake made, and what compounded the mistake was the attempt to try to cover up. That is unacceptable in any government. These things unfortunately happen. We want to make sure that those who are responsible are punished, and we want to make sure that we have procedures in place that prevent it from happening again.
All right, so the Saudi foreign minister there is saying there was a cover-up, but he's denying any role in it, that the government had any role, even though the body double was one of the 15 people sent in, and the bone saw was part of that group as well.
Well, and also, John, I think we have to take into consideration here, you could argue, or maybe the Saudis will try to argue, this was improvised. He was suddenly killed. They didn't know what to do. But Al-Madani is 57 years old. All those other operatives, for the most part, were in their 20s and 30s. He's the same height, the same build, doesn't have the same hairstyle. The interesting thing, you pointed out that the shoes were different. Well, that's one thing that you can't just pretend, right? You can't just squeeze in to somebody else's shoes. If the shoes don't fit, the shoes don't fit. So he obviously had to go with his own pair of shoes. But quite clearly, bringing in a 57-year-old who, broadly speaking, matches the physical description of the person that you are attempting to either interrogate, render, kill, depending on what their version of events is on any given day, this would indicate very strongly that this was premeditated. And that is what is making Turkish officials here angry. That is what they want to hear the Saudis step up to the plate and take some responsibility for. It could be, John, it could be that the attempt was to rendition him back to Saudi Arabia, and then they would deny it, and that the body double would try to sort of provide some kind of plausible deniability if that was their story. But as I said before, Turkish officials here telling CNN they have no doubt this was premeditated murder.